You're listening to Were You Still Talking? Hey, welcome back. This is Joel Albrecht once again. And in my studio today, I have Lorie Kleiner Eckert. She is an expert in personal reinvention. She is a dynamic author, a fiber artist, which my wife will be happy to hear, a motivational speaker who has inspired over 22,000 people in her latest book, Chai on Life, mispronounced on purpose. She shares heartfelt and humorous essays on navigating life's biggest transitions from an empty nest to personal loss, described as the magical love child of Nora Ephron. Love that. Lorie is here to share her practical, vulnerable, and uplifting wisdom on finding resilience, embracing authenticity, and transforming your life at any age. Love that. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy that there are wonderful podcasts like this to come to.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. First, I wanted to talk about a little quick note. You did a blog post on podcasts.
I did.
Basically, a little on podcasts and on the Podmatch, what we're using here, what got us together, and so I thought that was interesting. And also, I asked you which introduction you wanted to use. A little behind the scenes stuff here, folks. I asked you which introduction you wanted to use, and you said, "Oh, my publicist wrote all those." So my question was. Did your publicist write them, or did your publicist ask AI to write them?
Yes, it's AI driven.
It is, okay.
And they're so close to being good, but they're not, And also for, you and I know that I think every potential guest on podmatch.com gives like 10 questions that the interviewee is always ready to answer. And oh my God, those questions were so bizarre. But AI extrapolated from my book, You can upload the entire book into AI and it reads it in 3.5 seconds and, and spits out 10 ridiculous questions. But anyway, here I am.
Oh, that's interesting. If the book is anywhere digitally, you don't have to upload it. It's got it. You can just reference it. And
okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I see too many scary AI things. But yeah, it'll do it. Anyway, I tend to get away from those questions anyway because I'm weird that way.
Good.
I like to have a conversation instead of an interview. Yeah.
I love
it. Much better. Which takes me back to the blog post. For one, I loved it. Thank you for including my podcast in your blog. But also that you have a blog is great. I don't know. It seems like that area of writing is shrinking. Does it seem that way to you, or is it just that I'm not reading blogs?
I never really knew what a blog was. So years ago in the 2000s, year 2K, Y2K, back then I used to write a column. So, and I syndicated it to regional newspapers across the country. So what happened is I have 5 books in print. My first 3 were traditionally published by, Pelican Publishing Company. And my 4th one, they were no longer doing the same kind of publishing, so I self-published. And my new book is with a new publisher, Bancroft Press. But with this 4th book, I was told I needed to create a website to bring people to the website to see the book. And so I created a website. Great. And then the webmaster said to me, my friend Sean, now you have to write a blog so people will come to this website that you just paid me to create. And it's like, wait a minute. I'm finished writing. I wrote that book already. No, you have to write. So I turned back to what I used to do, which was the column I used to write was a slice of life about being single in midlife. And I was a cheerleader. I know you don't want to be single in midlife, but you can do it, rah, rah. And so that's what I did. So it's like, okay, so I went back to that. So I started writing a slice of life from the vantage point of me, a baby boomer. And I wrote 2 blogs a month and posted it on my website. And so I've been doing that maybe like for 7 years. And I want you to know I have like 432 subscribers after all this time. But they're very dedicated. They do read what I set out for the most part. So all of this uh, business being on social media, people liking you, following you, that's all well and good, but most of us aren't hitting it out of the park. So anyway, yeah, so I started to write a blog twice a month. I just wrote blog number 176, so I can't do the math on that for how long I've been doing it. And then I got to the point that a bunch of the blogs were evergreen, talking about topics, forgiveness, gratitude, personal reinvention, all of these kinds of things that I would want my kids and grandkids to know. So I compiled them into a book, wrote some new blogs as well. And that's my new book. So I still need to get people to come to the website to see which podcasts I've been on and which interviews and so forth. So I still write that blog. So my 434 or whatever they are subscribers hear from me on the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month. And I told a friend that I was doing a podcast, and she said, "What is a podcast? Is that the same? Yeah, is that the same thing? Is that the same thing that you send me 2 times a month?" I said, "No, that's a blog." So that's how I wrote a story about what the heck is a podcast is what it's called. And
right.
Like you say, I don't think people really know that there are companies that match up podcasters with guests. So then there's podmatch.com, like match.com. We can either send each other a message, or we can pass, or we can say later, maybe later. And so, yeah, so I wrote about the statistics of Podmatch. Similarly, in your solo episode where you talked about your 100th podcast, you gave some of the statistics from there too. And they're fascinating. It's fascinating that there's a skadillion podcasts, and most of them are really not successful at all.
Right.
And don't even make it, what was it, to the eighth podcast?
I think
like
there's like something like less than 50% make it to 8. Making it to 100 put me in somewhere like the 10% bracket or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, of course, podcasts that don't, they're just episodal, like they're going to be 10 or they're going to be 20 or whatever. But still, the numbers are staggering. I was just looking at that today, and I don't know why, but I've got this new, I'm messing around with my Zoom settings. Anyway, sorry, I was distracted. It's staggering to see the number that are out there and don't do anything. So there's way more than half of the podcasts that are listed somewhere. I don't know where those stats are, that don't do anything. And the number that are actually doing something is in a way pretty low. Like, it seems like a really crowded space, but I think that's only when you're a podcaster or someone wanting to be on a podcast. Then it seems like there's a billion podcasts. But as far as people listening, the fact that your friend was like, "What is a podcast?
What is a podcast?"
It's pretty amazing.
Like, what? It's what you listen to in the car when you're driving. What are you talking about?
Right, right.
But I'll tell you, so a criteria for me when I'm looking at, when a podcast is interested in me is how many episodes do they have? And if they've got 2 or 3, I'm not real interested. They don't practice on me, but that kind of thing. But I went to one, and I think she said she had 30 or 40. So, okay, maybe. So, but anyway, I went to listen to some of her podcasts, and she hadn't interviewed anyone. She had a co-host sometimes, so they would talk to each other. One time she interviewed her father, interesting, but why? And another time she interviewed her two toddler daughters. And I thought, oh, gosh, no. No.
Maybe,
I'm
maybe
not going on this show. Maybe not this
maybe
one. Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
When I started out, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I definitely didn't think I was going to interview as many people as I have. I kind of started messing about with it with a friend because I have a lot of equipment that I wasn't using. So I thought, oh, I could do this. And someone on another podcast was like, a big, what's now a multi-million-dollar podcast, was saying to the podcaster, oh, anyone could do what you do. I mean, come on, this isn't hard. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe that's true. And now it's not a huge podcast, but it's really fun. I mean, to have interviewed 100 people and getting I keep going because there's so many stories out there, and I'm kind of interested in everybody's story, which I didn't even know I was. It's like it was a new thing to me. It's still a new thing, and then running into different. This is the second matching of pods, people matching thing that I've run into. And this one I think is better than the other one. There's less work for me. The other one requires kind of more work. Neither one of them is going to get celebrities on the podcast, which I want to do just as an experiment, because my theory is if you have a big celebrity on the podcast, you'll get more views. But there's no way to test that unless I get a celebrity on the podcast.
Yeah. How does one go about doing that? That's fascinating.
Well, you have to work harder than I am. I think the thing you have to do, and I haven't really done this yet, but it might work, is you have to contact them.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Oh my God. What a concept.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so shy about sending an email to somebody. But you need getting a manager's name is not that difficult, because there's something called IMDb Pro, so you can get people's you can get people's contacts. And I've actually had someone on the podcast that told me exactly how to do it, because he's interviewed a lot of people, celebrities, because he's a documentary filmmaker. And he lives in my town, and it turned out when I had him on, he lives 5 blocks away. But anyway, he had a lot of people on. So I asked him, well, how do you do it? And, work. It just takes work. He said, but one of the greatest things he said was that he keeps asking until they say no.
Uh-huh.
So he has to hear a no before he gives up. And I think he's going to hear less of those now, because he's done 2 really great. This second movie he did was about the TV show Lost. It's called Getting Lost Doc. And he had it was going to be a fan film. In other words, it started out as a documentary about the fans of Lost. And some of them had made podcasts about Lost. Some of them had organized conventions about the show. And so it started out that way, but they were able to get one of the cast members on. And because they're cool people, the other cast members heard and said, sure, I'll be on, kind of one at a time. And then there was a big text link going on with all the cast members saying, yeah, you should do this. And so he did it all. This story was all, I only found out the whole story when I went to his premiere of the show. The text was going on and on, so he got almost everyone on there that was in the show, including one-ofs and kind of special characters. And then he finished, which is really hard. So he's got way more material than you can put in a documentary, because it's not a series. It's like an hour and a half. So he did all this, and he was ready to. I think he was on his final edit. He was like ready to lock it down. No such thing as locking picture anymore. That's a film term, but he was gonna be done, and he got a call from one of the producers. And these guys are huge now. The 2 people who produced Lost are big Hollywood icons. So he got a call from one of them, And it's like, well, I got to do this. I'm not done. And then the other one also came on. So it was pretty amazing. But that was a great lesson. Asking people would probably be the first step.
Yeah. Well, when I worked as a motivational speaker, that's what I thought I was. But really what I was a salesperson. And I wish I had been selling, Amway products or something. But no, I was selling me, and it was what you say. I don't know I don't know if things are different now, if it's best to approach via email or direct mail or phone call or what, but back then I could really call people and I would, give them my spiel. Well, it was never, they're busy. Could I call back next Tuesday? Well, yeah, I would call, and you better believe I called on Tuesday, And so I started calling back and calling back and calling back. And, so I never want to be a pest, but if you can't talk now, when should I call back? And they would tell me, we know to set the clock by you, because if we say call next Tuesday at 2, that's when you call. Well, sure, that's what you told me to do. So it would take, like 7 calls to really nail something down. It was very difficult, but you had to stay with it. And I told my granddaughter was soliciting merchandise for a fundraiser. And I said, if you're asking people for a $15 or $25 gift card, it's the same thing as asking some other type of a business for a $1,000 donation. You're going to have to call all of them 7 or 8 times, but the end result of one is a little gift card and the other is a hunk of cash. And I think that that's really true. But in all of these, it's not easy. You have to call and you have to call and you have to call. And these poor people are getting lots of calls, they really are. So another way that I bring people to my website is that I am a prolific reader. So I write reviews of the books that I read. Again, so you'll come to my website and see the homepage that has the new book, High on Life. You just keep doing it. But now that I am the writer of reviews, I hear from every kind of publicist wanting me to read the book. And 99 out of 100 aren't my genre. There's so many books out there, and I read contemporary fiction, So anyway, so that's what you're up against when you're making those calls. That's nowhere
hard.
Near the right person for the job.
Right. I really want someone else to do it so they can talk me up, because it's hard to call up and say, I've got the best podcast in my office. It's the best podcast that I've put out, period. Bar none. I don't know. What else do I tell them? Well, there's a book, I think it's called Not the Art of War, but the War of Art. And it's an old book, but it's still very popular. And that's what it tells you. You have to put on your agent's hat, and you can't represent yourself, so if you can afford someone to represent you, great. But if not, you have to divorce yourself from that person who has doubts about the value of the work that you've created or whatever. But I can tell you, you're doing a great job. Want me to make a few calls? Oh, sure. That'd be great.
Oh, sure.
I ask people. I haven't had anyone yet. I've always asked you, if you know someone famous, let them know. Yeah. Especially if their name is Tom Hanks. That's a really easy one to pronounce.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I'm there too. There too. We could do it as a package deal.
Yeah, absolutely. and that's the hard thing about what I do, is that an agent works on commission. It's pretty hard to have an agent and say, you should come to work for me and I'll give you 12% of everything I'm making. You got it.
You got it. Yeah. Well, that's funny. Again, what the perception is of all these things against the reality. So now that I review books, I'm a book reviewer, I'm an affiliate marketer for Amazon. Oh my gosh. And so if you click from my book review to Amazon and make a purchase, I earn a big 40 cents,
Yeah, I'm familiar with this.
Yeah,
I'm an affiliate marketer for Amazon. All you do is fill out the paperwork.
Yeah.
That's all you do. And yeah, so I did. I don't think I've kept it up, but like things on certain things that on my website, certain products where you could click on my link and yeah, but it was just silly, the amount of money. I've made more money doing podcasts through Podmatch, which is not huge either.
Okay. I don't know how the money on that works for the podcasters. That's
I'm not exactly sure, but we get a few. It's nice. Oh, and I don't know. I haven't read the whole privacy policy. I don't know if I'm supposed to reveal it in public.
Oh, okay. Let's leave that go.
We get something. Yeah, we'll leave that alone.
Well, but I can tell you well, maybe I'm not supposed to say about affiliate marketing for Amazon either, but they only pay out when you've accumulated $10, and I earn $10 about every 3 months. So
I have that with a few places that I'm an affiliate of. They only pay out when it gets to a certain amount, which makes sense because of bookkeeping costs. And so I tend to get paid less often. I'm retired, honestly. I'm not trying really hard to do this, which is part of my hesitation is that I have a little bit of the what's it called? Fear of success. Because, if I do too well, suddenly this is going to, if 5 people contacted me in a week that were well known and wanted to be on, I would be podcasting every day of the week.
Yeah. Well,
so there's always that, but it would be fun.
From your lips to God's ears or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the same place with, a new book out and oh my God, how many books are published a day? I don't even want to know. A day. I said that right. It's just because people can so easily publish on Kindle Direct Publishing.
Oh, right.
It's just a cinch to do. So you're competing with many, many, many. Yeah.
It's true, but yeah. Is it helpful that you have a publisher? Is it? Because it seems like that makes a huge difference.
To me, it definitely is because one of my issues is self-confidence and self-esteem. Even though I write about those topics all the time, but I'm teaching what I most need to learn.
Right.
But it's nice to have someone's money behind you. That is a real nice that's a nice vote of confidence. So, so what it cost, the initial run on my books was like, he bought me an engagement ring. It was like, well, okay, I accept,
Yeah.
So that part is really nice. And then he's got a distributor. So it's not like I got a million books in my garage and I'm not shipping them out as they sell or anything. So it's really very nice to have. I'm very grateful for having a publisher, and that would be the route I go. But where people what they don't understand is even with a publisher, and so I've had 2 different publishers. I had Pelican, who is no longer publishing under that name. The owner retired years ago, and now I've got Bancroft Press. They're entirely different. Pelican was a bigger concern, but they spent less money. And my publisher at Bancroft has been spending lots of money to promote the book, which is wonderful. And again, another vote of confidence, which I like and I need.
That's very nice. It's really helpful.
In every case, it's still up to the author to do a lot of promoting. You know it best, and
Well, I thought it was interesting that they recommended coming on podcasts. I get a lot of requests. I'm starting in the past year or so. Maybe it was hitting 100. I'm getting more out of the blue requests from agents who I think, in air quotes, I think they're AI bots. I think they're AI agents. I don't know that they're real people, but I'm getting more and more requests for. I'm contacting you in representing this author, representing such and such. And the first thing I think of is, why are you representing this author? This author hasn't sold books. I don't know who they are. They don't. They should just contact me.
Yeah.
But also, it is interesting. So, but I'm seeing that more and more, that people seem to think that being on a podcast is going to help promote their stuff. And I know a lot of podcasts, really, that's what it's about. Whereas my podcast is more about people, people's stories and what they're doing, I don't know, just about having a conversation with
I was going to say,
people.
You're chatty. I'm chatty too. So I think that works just fine. Yeah, that works fine.
Yeah. And yeah.
I was going to say, I said to you probably before we were recording that I didn't realize that, your episodes were also on YouTube. And so it is so interesting to see it on YouTube, because you can really, I don't think someone just listening to us would have a difficulty distinguishing a woman's voice from a male voice. But if it's two men, it's hard to distinguish. So it's really so helpful to see it and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so there you go.
The other nice thing about the YouTube, I never do that.
Where did it go?
The other nice thing about the YouTube is you can turn the captions on. So I think a lot of people like that you don't, if you can't hear what we're saying, or maybe you speak a different language, you're from somewhere else, then you can always turn on captions, and hopefully it'll have the right words.
That's interesting. I really didn't know you can do that. The good thing I think about YouTube is that it is very easy to give it a thumbs up. And other platforms for podcasts, I've looked and looked and looked to give a review, and I don't know how to do that. So maybe you could have a podcast on the how-tos of that. So it's
that's
easy
a good idea.
It's easy on YouTube. But the last person I talked to was giving me some direction, said, well, those three dots up in the corner, you click there. Well, you do, but there's no place to review the thing. And I don't know, is it the same on Spotify as it is on,
And of course, they're all different, because
they're all going to be different.
Yeah.
And I can't find it. And is it different on my laptop as opposed to my phone?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. The really annoying thing is it's different on your iPad than it is on your iPhone. It's different on your Droid phone than it is on your iPhone. It's different on your PC than it is on your Mac. It's
of course
different. Yeah. And if you're, if you're not using a PC or a Mac and you're using Linux, then you should know how to give a review. Way to go. Good.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know that.
I know.
But let me throw out a pitch for all authors everywhere. Is that we really need you to go on Amazon and give our book a review. You don't have to say much. You don't even have to have bought the book there, as long as you make purchases on Amazon. And you don't have to say much. You have to give it a title, and you have to say something, one sentence. I like this book, or I gave this book to my cousin Sue after I read it because it was so good. It's like, that's it. You don't have to summarize the topic.
Even if you say, I've never read this book, 5 stars.
Yeah.
It still gets the 5 stars.
It still gets the 5 stars. Well, and as I say this, I will tell you in the next breath that it just annoys the heck out of me when my dentist wants a review and my audiologist wants a review. God.
And it's not
I
even...
hate all those reviews.
It's not even them. It's whatever software they're using to do, to manage their business. That's what sends you the review.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They're not really asking. I mean, it's every software now has this review process. And I've seen story after story about this. People are really getting annoyed. I mean, when you go to a fast food place and they want a review, or you go and get your oil changed and they want a review. The people weren't dirty enough. I don't think they were working. Come on.
It's a great review. Or no, do it positively. They were so filthy. I'm sure
that's
that
they
were working hard. That's positive.
They were covered in oil. These guys are great. I actually used to go to a Jiffy Lube nearby. It's different people now, but I used to go there, when I had a Toyota Prius, and the Toyota Prius, if the headlight went out, it was a ridiculous amount of money to get it changed, because the way that Toyota does it is disassembling a bunch of stuff. But when I took it there, they would do it for like $10 because they had a guy with a little hand. They said, we'll just use whoever it was, and no problem. And he would be able to like bend his arm in there and get to the light bulb and change it. So I always appreciated that. And that was, I guess that was before they were asking for reviews, because I would have definitely given them a review.
Now here's a podcast idea for you. Little known facts about the area. See, you could give
there's a lot of
little known facts that you need to know.
Funny. I'm seeing a lot of that jump up now on TikTok. It's like there's a lot of people, kids, I'll say, doing reviews, like going to different places and reviewing them, which is great, because that's really good. And those guys have a lot more clicks than me, so I'll let them let them do it.
I haven't figured out TikTok. I'm still back on Facebook, but really, for my baby boomer audience who doesn't know what a podcast is, a podcast from a blog, it's like that probably isn't my audience to be on TikTok. Probably. What do you think?
It's interesting because there's more and more people going there. I don't like any of the social media platforms, but it's a geopolitical problem that I have. And the way they're designed, unless you're pretty big, no one really sees it. So I think your blog and your website is a much better way to go. I think way more people are going to see that. And you have dedicated followers. If there's 400 subscribers, there must be 1,000 people looking at those things. There must be more than that see it. But with social media, you have to spend so much time, which I've never been successful on. I'm not. I have social. I'm like on them all because I thought, maybe this one will work for getting the word out about this. Maybe this one will work for this, because I've been in bands forever and I've had different things, and it's worked for making friends in the community, kind of, and keeping up with my relatives. It used to be. Now people are really not going on there because it's become so political. That's part of it. And it's addictive. So I did a social media fast about a year ago, and it was incredibly difficult. It was harder than I thought. But anyway, back to that. If you have if you can build a following on there, which like a lot of comedians have a pretty good following on TikTok. I don't really like the format, but then I do like it when I'm watching it and they're just 30-second videos. And then there are some people in the AI world, in other words, people who talk about AI and scare me to death. They do longer talks, get more deep into what the latest thing is and what the latest, whatever it is. But again,
those popular?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those. Well, one of them is I think he used to be a news anchor. He looks very familiar, and I think he used to do tech news like on a bigger stage. And he has, the thing is, a lot of people that do well have, they're either using a service or they do have assistants or multiple assistants that post everything everywhere, that really get it out there. But it's another thing where it's kind of a lot of work.
Oh, it is.
It's and it's hard to do that whole, like I'm practicing a speech now where I'm supposed to look into the video camera and speak, and that's it. I can't look. It's a 15-minute thing, and I'm like, how am I going to do this for 15 minutes? Look right there and don't blink. And it's difficult. I have a lot of respect for the people who do that. There's a lot of talking head videos out there, and it's like reading your blog instead of writing it. It's like if you just sat there and read it into camera, which, people would probably like, but it's hard.
Do you think?
It's hard.
I think that the 30-second spot, I think that social media is creating our short attention spans.
Yeah.
So I would think the shorter the better. Actually, my publisher and I fight about that all the time. He's got a press kit for my book that is like literally 49 pages long.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I think less is more. So the press kit I send out is like 5 pages. And so I edited his at one time and I said, why don't we just bring it down to, I don't know what, 30 pages or whatever. He says, why don't we make it 40? Because more is more. So I don't agree with that. And I don't think the public does either. I think they want a little short and, go on to the next. So that one person's opinion, that's all it is.
I don't know who is going to read the 40-minute deal, but I did have, my sister did go to a neurologist recently just to make sure everything was fine. Everything is fine. And the thing, the first thing the neurologist said is spend less time. If you're worried about your mental health, spend less time looking at screens because just about any kind of, like, that's why I try not to make Zoom calls that are 3 hours, although it's happened. But I try not to torture my guests by having it so long doing, on a computer, because you're still, unfortunately, we're still looking at a screen. But it's also lets me talk to people in everywhere from, my last person was on a boat in the middle of the ocean on a trip around the world. And you're in what? Cincinnati, is it?
Cincinnati, really?
Ohio.
Yeah.
Was that where WKRP was?
I think so.
Dating myself there. That was a little bit ago.
Long ago. No, our real claim to fame. And I wrote a blog about it, but it didn't pluck it. It wasn't evergreen to put in my book, but Jerry Springer was my neighbor. So
wow.
When Jerry Springer passed away. So that really is our claim to fame, I think. Besides that, and I don't know if you heard of Grater's Ice Cream, but anyway, yes, so Jerry was my neighbor. So when he passed away, I wrote a blog about him, and in spite of what everyone says about him and blah, 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 he was a really nice guy. And he always would donate to the school silent auction that you could come and have lunch with him and watch them record the news at night, because he started off as a newscaster. And he was a lovely guy. He really was. So anyway, that's one of my stories.
That's not surprising. It's great that you answered my next question before I had to ask it, because I would have. That was the first thing I thought. Well, what was he like? Was he a nice guy? Was he like?
He really was
on TV?
Yeah.
Of course, he's not like he's on TV. He's on TV. It's like Howard Stern. Howard Stern was a shock jock, and probably a lot of people don't even know that, because he has a very successful podcast now where he just sits down and asks big celebrities questions and gets info out of them that other people wouldn't, because he's really good at it. But it was always the same with him. Anyone who met him was like, well, he's a super nice guy.
Well, Jerry was, and he started off here as a newscaster, and at the end of the newscast, he would do a 1-minute commentary. So as a writer, think about that not only was he doing his job, but he had to write a 1-minute piece to talk about how some bit of news impacted him or whatever. And they were always very heartfelt. They were really beautiful pieces for the most part. And then they compiled a booklet of them for the Ruth Lyons Children's Fund at Christmas. So I have a book of commentaries, and that's what I used in my blog, Jerry in his own words. So, you might say this about Jerry, but here's Jerry in his own words. And I'm very happy that I got to do that. And I'm very happy that I knew him, and my daughter played with his daughter and all that kind of stuff. It's good. All good.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always kind of heartening to hear those kind of stories, people that seem like monsters. And, it might have, I don't know that it was just him that was going for the fights on stage and stuff. I don't know that he was alone in that. That might have been something that they pushed. Because I think it's something that happened on a show, and the ratings went nuts, and so they kept doing that. I think that's the story. It's something like that. It just nutty stuff. But you were talking about him writing a 1-minute piece, I'm always amazed that we kind of forget how much writing is done in news. Like these people who do daily news shows, well, okay, they're news magazines. I can't call them news shows, but they do these daily entertainment shows that are labeled news. They write. Somebody is writing a lot. They're writing a lot of material, and it always amazes me how good they are. I watch the Today Show, which I don't know if I should admit, but they're always so good at reading their teleprompter, like because even their ad libs are on their teleprompter. Occasionally, occasionally they'll cut to the other side and you'll see it, and literally what they just said, some ad lib that you thought was an ad lib, it's right there because it's super tight, right? It's a super tight schedule, so you can't just start going off. They have to sometimes because they need to stretch for time, but it's interesting.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because for my fourth book, which is Love, Loss, and Moving On, the one that was self-published, I did a variety of radio shows. So this was like 5 or 6 years ago, where podcasts were just, I'm not going to do a podcast, So, I mean, sincerely, it's changed so much in such a short time. But doing a radio show was extremely stressful because you called in 2 minutes before your, time to be on, and you were in the waiting room, and you had maybe a 3-minute spot. Well, what if it took 3 minutes and 10 seconds? Cut,
You're done.
We're done. And that was extremely stressful. Look at us just schmoozing away. How wonderful.
Yeah, isn't it? It's nice. It's nice that way. I mean, nice. I guess that's that's why I keep doing it, because it's not super high pressure, and there's not a lot of people going on radio and television to promote their talk shows because it's probably not what they're doing. I mean, that means going into that world and having your 3 minutes and getting cut off. It's like, it's hard to explain a podcast in that amount of time. But on that note, I was wondering if your publishers do you do any traditional book promoting, like book tours, signings at bookstores? Are you still doing that? Is that still a world?
Would that be so nice? One can set up whatever one wants to try and set up. So there is an independent bookstore in Cincinnati that's very popular, Joseph Beth, and I'm very honored to have been there. But you go through like this 6-month process, and it took 6 months before the book came out for them to agree to carry the book. They have to agree to carry the book before they're going to have you in the store. And so I applied. It took 6 months, and they made the big decision. They are going to carry the book, and their first order was going to be between 1 to 3 books. Okay.
Whoa. Wow.
So then I contacted them to do an engagement in the store. And we really haven't talked about my career, but as a motivational speaker, so I've always told the stories of my life, hoping people can glean life lessons from them. I've always been the cheerleader. Life is difficult, but you can do it. But when I was the motivational speaker person, I illustrated my talk with quilts that I had designed and created that had words and symbols pieced into the design. So they said things like bloom and soar, come as you are, you're lovely, if not now, when. So I had these visual aids from my day as a motivational speaker. So I promoted that to the bookstore, and I said, if I come, I'm going to say that I always tell the stories of my life, and I'll tell some stories with quilts, so it'll be different than what you usually have. So that hooked them. And so they did give me an appearance in the store, which was lovely. And I thought this was so clever, Joel. They, when my program was over, they gave a copy of the book to everyone in the audience to hold up, and they took a picture of the audience. Well, you've got a book in hand. Are you just going to give it back, or are you going to buy it?
Oh,
You know, here's
nice.
the author right here. I'm going to
Nice.
sign it for
Oh,
you.
that's
Was
clever.
that amazing?
That really is.
That
That's
is,
great.
that
Just
was
yeah.
great.
She's come here. She's done all this work.
Yeah,
Buy the
buy the
book. Why
book.
don't you buy the
Yeah,
book?
buy the darn book already.
Exactly. Oh, that's good. That's a great story.
It is,
So
yeah.
tell me
So,
more about the book. It's
um,
because we barely touched on it. We've talked about it without talking about it, it seems like. So
yeah.
you have 3 minutes.
Okay.
I'm just
I can do it. I've got an elevator speech. It's a compilation of 36 slice of life stories with topics ranging from belly fat to Billy Joel. And every of the stories has a full color illustration that has the one line takeaway from the story. So, for instance, the Billy Joel story is about forgiveness based on his song Big Shot. I can tell you more about that. But anyway, the one line takeaway from that is forgive unto others as you would have them forgive unto you. And the Billy Joel story, shall I tell the Billy Joel
Oh,
story?
please,
Yeah.
please, yeah.
Was that I went to hear him in concert. And he, in a big stadium in Cincinnati. I
Hmm.
never know the name of these places, but you know, where the baseball game or football game goes on. So huge stadium full of people. And when he sang Big Shot, everybody stood up and sang Big Shot with him. And everybody knew every word. And when I researched it afterwards, I think it was Vulture magazine or something said that was his most, I'll say, ticked off song in his, in his repertoire.
Uh-huh.
And I hear everybody was singing it. So we all must have someone who we think of as Big Shot that we want to shout at. But Billy Joel earns royalties on his anger. You and I don't. So it behooves us to forgive. So that's where that's slice of life. It's not
Right,
really
right.
autobiographical. If someone was writing a biography, I mean, they wouldn't include that I went to see Billy Joel in concert. But I think you can identify with that, and you can walk around singing Big Shot in your own head and figure out who you need to forgive so that you'll be better. Yeah. So
That's really interesting. Well, I wonder how many people singing that song um, don't know what the lyrics are about. Sometimes people just sing along.
yeah.
And then, like a lot of people think that "Born in the USA" is some kind of patriotic song. That's a song by the boss, Bruce Springsteen,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's about the how much the USA has let people down. It was about people coming home from the Vietnam War, and how much their country
Uh-huh.
had really let
Uh-huh.
them down.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but a lot of
Yeah,
people
I didn't
hear
know
they
that.
just hear the main lyric and think, "Oh, this
Uh-huh.
is great. This is all about the U.S."
Yeah, yeah.
And it
Oh, that's
kind of
interesting.
isn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
But I think Big
more of a
Shot is about being mad at somebody, right?
yeah.
Who had to be a big shot. I
I
don't
only
know.
know those
Yeah.
main lyrics, but it sure sounds like it.
Oh,
My
no, but if you were singing along
yeah,
with an audience, you would know every word. It's the
yeah,
same
that's
way, like,
true.
I really
Yeah.
cannot, on my own, a cappella, sing the Star Spangled Banner. The words just don't come out in the right order, but I can do it in a crowd every single
Oh,
time.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I wonder now. It makes me wonder who it is. Probably everyone that's a Billy Joel fan knows, but I'm like,
Yeah.
who was the big shot?
Yeah.
Was it?
Well, and in that story, I also mentioned Carly Simon and You're So Vain. So that's been
Mm-hmm.
another, mystery through the years that periodically it has been solved, all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
right,
So,
right.
yeah. Yeah. And I also do Frank Sinatra in that story that there was a feud between his second wife or third wife, whatever, but not who was not the mother of his children and his daughters. And so the daughters didn't like daughter, maybe just where am I going with it? Yeah. Anyway, they didn't like what was placed on the headstone. And so here
Uh,
it is, like probably 20 years after the man died, that they desecrated the headstone to get rid of what it said. And it's like, are you
wow,
kidding me? The man's
wow.
been dead forever. Who is being harmed by carrying this grudge? It's not, it's you,
Right.
So
Right.
so I'm in favor of putting down the load. Yeah, putting down the load. Yeah, definitely. There was a we're really not supposed to say Woody Allen anymore, but Woody Allen movie with Bette Midler.
You're not
I
even supposed
think
to say the name.
I don't know. He's got a bad reputation.
I know that. Yeah, yeah.
But it was called Scenes at a Mall, and their marriage was
Hmm.
basically breaking up as they walked around the mall talking. But they had earlier purchased a surfboard. So they're walking around the mall carrying this surfboard, and you just want to say, put down the load. So that's really where I am with Billy Joel and, and Big Shot. Anyway, but I think people can identify with that. And
Hmm.
so I'm happy to have that as one of the 36 stories. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. That's a great story. So you were a public speaker for how many years?
I was out there
You
for a decade.
A decade. So
Yeah,
you
a
traveled
decade.
the world doing that?
I
Did you go
didn't.
all over?
I did. I think 11 states
Hmm.
and about 25,000 people in 250 audiences. Some great numbers like that, which they really were when you consider that I made it one cold call at a time to get there.
Oh, it's amazing.
But yeah, and I illustrated my talk with these quilts that had words and symbols in the design. So I was talking about self-acceptance, self-esteem, power of positive thinking, not rocket science, all stuff that you already know. But it was unique because it was illustrated with these quilts. So at the time, Sesame Street, the kids show, has changed through the years. But when my kids watched it, it used to have 5-minute segments. That's it. Now they have, or when my grandkids watch it, they had longer segments. But I built my lecture on that. So I would talk about a quilt for 5 minutes. And if that topic bored you, hold on. I'm going to talk about something different shortly. So it was like that. So I showed a dozen quilts. So it was very unique. And it kind of think about going to church, and if the minister starts the story with a personal story as opposed to a Bible verse, it's a different beast. And so that's what I've always done, is to tell my stories. There you have it. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good way to do it. Do you have favorite authors? Like, do you have a favorite author that you reviewed or that inspires you or?
Yeah, I have. I am a prolific reader. So,
Hmm.
yeah, my favorite authors are authors who have autobiographical nonfiction out there and fiction. So you can see where their life and their fiction intersect, which I think is very cool. So Richard Russo is one, and he won a Pulitzer Prize for Empire Falls. And he's got a book, a memoir out there called Elsewhere. And he had a really interesting mother who suffered from maybe OCD or something, but they didn't really have a name for what was wrong with her. But like when Richard Russo left for college, his mother went with him. So they moved to another city. So when you see the main character in Empire Falls, which got turned into a movie, it was a Pulitzer Prize winner,
Hmm.
and from 2001. So it's a while ago, though I just read it again. You're reading about someone like him because that character's mother was an issue. So I like that. And Paul Auster is now deceased, but he did the same thing. Wrote nonfiction about himself and fiction that included some of that. And then Ann Patchett does that too. Ann Patchett's probably, do you know Ann Patchett?
That name
She,
sounds really familiar.
yeah, she's a
Yeah.
darling on TikTok. She owns a bookstore in, I can't think of where, in Tennessee or something like that. It'll
Hmm.
come to me. But she does YouTube videos talking about a book. And
Oh,
oh
that's
my,
great.
if that book doesn't go viral tomorrow,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
yeah,
amazing that people have that, just everyday people have that power sometimes. I mean,
yeah,
if they've built up a big following, they can pass that on. It's pretty amazing. I've seen that
yeah,
happen on TikTok a few times where someone is just putting out videos every day, nobody's watching them, and then another what do they call them? Creative person. I'm forgetting the word. Influencer. Another influencer says, "Go check out this guy," and that person explodes, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool thing. Yeah,
go on.
I read Jack London's autobiography. And it was I don't know if he wrote it or someone else, but his story is far more interesting than his books. I mean, his books are like amazing. It's Jack London, Call the Wild. But I read his biography, and he's done everything that he's written about in his books.
Oh,
it was absolutely amazing. I mean, when he was like a teenager, he went on a boat to see what that would be like. And, in those days, it was brutal. And then he wanted to know what it would be like to go to Alaska for the gold rush. He wasn't going there for gold. He was going there for stories to see what that would be like, and that's where he wrote Call of the Wild about. But it was just amazing. The stuff that he did himself was like mind-boggling.
Well,
Great autobiography.
I didn't read that, but I think that's exactly what I'm saying. It really it enhances the fiction when you know what happened behind it. Paul Auster's main theme in many of his books was chance and how things happen by chance. And is there any meaning, or is it chance? Well, one of his main stories in life is as a kid at camp, that they were crawling under a fence in a field or something, and lightning popped up out of nowhere. And the kid crawling under the fence right in front of him got hit by lightning and died.
Oh my God.
And he lived. So do you think that, it gives me chills to say it, do you think that impacts your life? Yeah. So he had a whole career talking about chance. And you have to respect him for that,
Well, yeah.
How amazing is that? So, yeah.
That's always an interesting question. How much of your life is chance? How many things happen by chance that we don't realize? I wonder that. Like, how many things happen behind the scenes that have affected the way our life has gone somehow?
Yeah. Who's pulling the strings, though? Who's pulling the strings behind the scenes? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Or just things, something that you just missed or something that you just made. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. Yeah. That's always an interesting topic, for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many times where you think you missed an opportunity, and then you see down the road, oh no, that was the best thing.
That was it, right?
Oh yeah, good. I missed that opportunity.
Glad I missed that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like to talk with people about the different writing things. So writing in a journal, which I encourage everyone to do, and writing, self-publishing and publishing with a publisher. But there's also, have you ever heard of NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, that happens every November? And the goal is to write a 50,000 word manuscript, which is really the beginning of a book. I think an average book is 80,000 words, but to write it in the month of November. And there's 30 days in November, and you're supposed to write 1,666 words a day to get your 50,000 words. Wow. So it's really grueling, but it's very cool, because at the end of the month, you really do have a rough draft.
Right.
Yeah. And so they have famous authors come on and give pep talks. I mean, it's all online. And one of them said, if you have a bad writing day, so this is such a beautiful life lesson too. If you have a bad writing day, you got your 1,666 words, but you think they're all trash. Instead of trashing it, turn the font to white so you can't see it. It's still there. Interesting, but you can't see it. And tomorrow, when you're refreshed, make the font black again, and you'll be surprised that you had some good stuff. Maybe not a lot, but you had something good. Isn't that a great life lesson? That really is.
It really is. It's kind of like the way I don't jump right into editing a podcast until the next day. I give it a rest. Not that I edit it much, but I have to, make the voices sound. I just get things evened up in a little bit. And but for me, it's I don't want to listen to my voice right away. I'll be far too critical.
But that's it. We are so self-critical. We really are. Well, we were talking about, I don't know what the mindlessness really of being online and social media posts and so forth. So I'm trying to only look at social media in the morning, and I'm doing it like first thing in the morning over breakfast, which is a really bad way to start your day because I'm looking for endorphin hits that someone liked this post or like that post or someone wrote to me, or I had 100 people visit my website instead of the usual 70, and it's almost always not good news or or whatever. But all day long then, I really want to check it again, but I'm really trying hard to only check it in the morning once. And so when I'm there, it's like, with fingers ready to type in Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it's like, okay, you need someone to tell you you're great. So I do a little meditation and tell myself I'm great.
That's great. That is
so far
awesome.
It's working. So far it's working. I've been on this method for about 2 weeks now.
I do the opposite where I try not to go on any computer stuff until 10. I give myself a couple of hours where I definitely don't check my phone first thing. And I give myself a couple of hours. Now I know this would be much harder if a lot of people were trying to get a hold of me, which in all honesty, not that many people are. So it shouldn't, it shouldn't be difficult at all. Like that's the thing about, and this week I've been trying to just go on my phone less because the phone is where social media lives mostly. So I try and just pick it up less. And what helps is when I think, you know what, there's nothing there right now that's not going to be there tomorrow. There's nothing there right now that you have to see right now. There's some big flooding happening in Hawaii. I love the Hawaiian Islands, and there's big flooding happening there. But really, I don't live there, and there's no roads I have to avoid here. So it's gonna, and it'll be there. It'll be there tomorrow.
It will, but I mean, it's all been created to give us that endorphin rush.
Absolutely. When I have one viral video, and I have a few smaller videos that have done well, but and even those, and these are like my YouTube videos about flight simulation. If one of those starts blowing up, which is for me getting more than a few hundred views an hour, then I really the endorphins just go nuts. And it's so silly because it's like, this doesn't make a real difference in my life. So then when my 20th TikTok video or something, I don't know how many videos in, but one of them, I put a funny voice with a squirrel, and it literally went viral. And I've always said that if something's under 1 million hits, it's not viral. Give me a break. That's not. So this one it went nuts. It was Billy Bob Thornton and with a squirrel, and the squirrel was looking in my door. It just worked. Something about it worked. So it was really like, wow, the reaction that I'm having is scary. If that was happening every day, I think I'd have to quit doing social media or something. It would be like, I don't see how. I literally have trouble seeing it's twisted because I want my podcast to be successful mainly so people will see the people on my podcast. I don't care as much about people, saying, "Oh, Joel's doing a new podcast." It's more about the people getting exposure, when there's a guest on and they have a book. It would be great if your book could sell 1,000 copies from coming on here.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, it would be wonderful.
Talk to your friends. Come on, Joel, I need you.
But I think if it was so big that it was getting, hundreds of thousands of downloads, I don't know how people handle that. I don't know. That's the ego. There's got to be a way to check the ego. I mean, obviously, a lot of people don't handle it well. but there are a lot of people that do seem to. There are a lot of huge celebrities that seem to do pretty well. Usually they live in Montana or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But you also hear about, suicides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful when it happens. But I have an Etsy shop, so I sell mostly patterns, how to make a quilt. I do sell some of my quilt designs that used to be, in visual aids and lecture. I sell those printed on T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was I going to tell you about that? I don't know. I was going to say that.
You get excited when you sell more than one. I go through
periods where I have actually sold 4 things in a day on Etsy, and I had no control over that. That was some algorithm did that. So the same algorithm that made that happen today can shut off all my sales tomorrow. I think that's the scary part. I think we're not in control. I think that Big Brother is in control.
Well, that's 100% true with the way algorithms work. And it's getting worse because of, they're getting better at algorithm control, at making them do what they want. And that was the thing about this video. It's a video of a freaking squirrel that lasts 30 seconds. Yes, it's amusing, it's fun, but I have nothing to do with the fact that it went to 1 million views. The biggest view I've gotten on an actual video is like a little over 1,000. So,
that's good.
And those are protest videos. People like the protest videos.
But may I ask, does the one that got 1 million views, does that make any money in any way, shape, or form?
No, you have to, on TikTok, you have to have over 10,000 followers to make money. And it's great because I've seen several influencers talk about it. They've gone away now because I must have clicked not interested enough times. But, once you get a video to 1 million, it's like, oh, you must want to make money. You should promote this. You should spend money because you must want to make money. And it's like, well, I guess I would, but going from, it got me 2,000 followers, that video alone, 1 million views, got 2,000 people to hit, follow this person. And that's pretty low ROI, I think they've called it.
Yes.
Runs batted in.
No. Return on investment.
It's pretty low. It's pretty low.
It is.
So, but if I had the 10,000 people, because it's only 10,000 people, I would have gotten fractions of a penny per hit on that. So I don't think I would have made $1 or $2 on 1 million people seeing it. Yeah, and TikTok's making who knows how much money on something like that.
Insane.
So the people that are making money on it are getting a lot of views, or they're selling their products, not getting, it's not a TikTok thing. They're selling products, but Well, but we're all thinking that, but I think that nobody's making much money out there. So one of the stories in High on Life is Life Lessons from the Gym, and it's about my personal trainer who I'm good friends with, and he and I are always talking business. So it's like, so before my 4th book came out that was self-published, it was like, if you have 1 million followers and you put out your widget and you sell to only 1%, you just sold 1,000 widgets, right? So it was like, so of course, go and put this book out, self-published book. Well, when I did, I had 10,000 followers at that time. Which is a lot. Which is a lot. That's a lot. And I did sell my 1%, which was 100 books. Right. That's the thing. I think people don't quite make that connection because I see a lot of accounts that have hundreds of thousands of followers, but then when you look at that, 1% of that is still not very much. And on a platform like TikTok, it's probably way less than 1%. It's probably a 1/10 of 1% or something like that, because there are so many people just flippity dippity dippity. And it's interesting. This is a kind of a side story. I guess it's happening less, but I used to have a lot of people say, I have followers on social media, and it would be in the tens of thousands, and I could find no evidence of it. And it's like, if you're contacting me and telling me that, don't you think I'll look?
Yeah, shouldn't I be able to see this on Facebook or somewhere?
I should see it somewhere. And the other thing is that confuses me. I'm assuming they're paying for somehow getting subscribers by paying or follows, whatever it is. I see a lot of really big social media accounts, and I'll go there and they're like, 100,000 K or even 10,000 is a lot of followers, honestly. So it's an Instagram account. It's got 10,000 or more followers. And you look at the posts, and obviously I'm the only one that looked at it. It has 1 or 2 likes, which is true with anybody. Anybody who has a friend on Instagram will have 2 likes, So that's interesting too, when people have what looks like a huge following, but it's not, it doesn't matter because no one's really liking their posts.
Yep.
Numbers are weird because celebrity accounts are in the millions usually. They're not 100, they're not 10,000, but not to say that still 10,000 followers is a huge accomplishment. 1,000 followers is a pretty big accomplishment. It takes something.
My 432 or 4 subscribers to my blog. Now, we could definitely raise that number, can't we, Joel? Come on, let's do a fundraiser for
a fundraiser for your blog.
For my blog.
Well, it's fun to go to. Your blog is fun. And
good.
The link will be in the show notes. That's what it is. In the show notes. And if you want to leave a review, everyone, this is for
how do you do it?
You on pod, what's it called? The original Apple Podcasts seems to be the easiest one. Now, maybe it's easier for me because it's my podcast or I'm signed in. I know you have to be signed in. That's one thing. You have to be signed in. And then it's
that's the key.
I think that's the key for almost everywhere, because that's, they want people to sign in. So anything you do, you've got to be signed in, because they want the AI to know who left that review and exactly what it said and what their interests are. So that's the one thing. But yeah, go leave a review, folks. And there's so many. My podcast goes out to it gets. Who was it? I can't remember who was saying this. Somewhere along the line, I heard a podcaster say, well, there's 2 numbers in podcasting. There's a number that's so low you don't really want to say it yet. And then you'll hopefully go through a phase when there's numbers that are okay. And so you'll kind of tell people how many downloads you get. And then you'll get to that phase where it's embarrassing. So you don't want to tell people how many downloads you get.
Yeah.
I'm in the
so
first,
how are you doing?
I'm in the first category. Still in the first category.
Well,
but it is better every month. I've been surprised lately. It is growing. Great.
That's good. Well, I go as the famous guest on these shows and try and see how many times it's been viewed. And really, you can do that usually on YouTube, but
that's what's interesting about
find it elsewhere.
Yeah, they don't provide any information except to the podcaster. On podcasts, which is interesting. YouTube has it right there in front of you, but nowhere else does. And so when you see the number on YouTube, you don't really know what that represents. It's not always. Sometimes it represents pretty much the views that you've had. So it's at least double that. Sometimes it doesn't represent it at all. Like it's way more. Sometimes because, and this is still something I don't get, I post it to the aggregator and they put it to 100 different places all over the world. It's pretty amazing. And other podcasts, what do they go? Aggregators pull it from there and post it to more spaces. So I don't know why every podcast doesn't get 1 billion views, except that most podcasts, most of us are in that place like your friend is. What's a podcast? What?
Yeah, really.
What's it? I get that I tell people all the time, or my wife says, yeah, he has a podcast. He's still podcasting. And, most of my family, not immediate family, but beyond that, it's and that is what again?
Really, yeah.
How do I get to? I've sent links. I should get back on this because email is probably the best way to reach people these days. But I have sent out emails with links, and then when I see the people later, they're like, "Well, the link didn't work," and all I can think is, "Well, I just don't know where to go with that."
You have to click it.
All you have to do is click the link. It didn't work. I don't know what's going on.
That's what in my,
tough.
people who supposedly like me say, I didn't have time, so I'm going to click it later. Well, I don't think so. You're going to remember to come back to this email. It's going to happen.
Oh, right.
Oh, well.
Right.
Oh, well.
That's a thing.
But that's okay because I'm going to make it big on your audience. So
absolutely. You'll be huge. You'll be gigantic once people see.
We'll go there together. Let's go there together.
Wait till they get a load of you. It'll be fantastic. Well, that's a pretty good place to wrap it up for my show, for the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been gabbing a little bit, and I'm trying to think of what I say here. Oh yes, you've been listening to. Were you still talking? This is Joel Albrecht, and you have been listening to myself and Lorie Kleiner Eckert. Any relation to Eckhart Tolle? Anyway, we have been talking about her new book. Link will be in the show notes. Please hit that. And if you watch this, if you listen to it anywhere, if you would go to YouTube and watch it for 3 seconds, that would help. That's one thing I know. Or if you go to any other podcast place, just listen to it for 3 or 4 seconds. That's all it takes. And then buy her book. And right after that, buy the book. And actually read her blog because it's very interesting. It's easy to find. The website's easy. And thanks so much for listening. So until next time, be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Thanks a lot.